Hello, ladies and gentlemen, this is Agent J.A., and you're watching Chronicles of the Explained and Unexplained. Today we'll be talking about a story of a man claiming to travel from the year 1921 to the year 3906, not in the same body, but the same mind. Is this a true story or a hoax? I'll let y'all decide. Hope y'all enjoy this video. A sick man in 1921. In the early 1920s, Europe was still recovering from the devastation of World War I. Amid the uncertainty and rebuilding, a quiet, little-known teacher named Paul Amadeus Dienach was fighting a very different battle. Dienach was a linguistics teacher, intelligent, reserved, and deeply introspective, but his health was failing. He suffered from a serious illness, often described as a form of encephalitis, that left him weak and exhausted. In 1921, his condition worsened dramatically, and then something happened that would later become one of the strangest stories ever told. Chapter 1: The Year-Long Coma. Dienach fell into a deep coma, not for days, not for weeks, but for an entire year. Doctors were baffled. His body remained alive, but his mind seemed unreachable, lost somewhere beyond consciousness. To the outside world, Paul Amadeus Dienach was gone. But according to his later writings, that's when his journey began. Chapter 2: Awakening in Another Body. Dienach later claimed that during his coma, he didn't dream. He woke up, but not in 1921. He found himself in the body of another man, someone named Andreas Northam, living in the distant future. The year 3906. At first he was confused, disoriented, unable to understand what was happening. The language was unfamiliar. The world was completely different. But slowly he began to realize something impossible, that his consciousness had somehow entered another person, nearly 2,000 years in the future. Chapter 3: The World of 3906. The world Dienach described was not chaotic or ruined, it was transformed. Humanity, he claimed, had evolved socially, intellectually, and spiritually. There were no nations as we know them, no wars, no poverty. Instead, society with unified technology existed, but was not dominant, and people lived in harmony with nature. This wasn't a dystopia. It was something closer to a post-scarcity, highly evolved civilization. Chapter 4: Humanity has changed. According to Dienach, humans in 3906 were not the same as in 1921. They had changed mentally and emotionally. He described them as more intelligent, more empathetic, and less driven by ego or conflict. Education was not about memorization, but understanding reality itself. People no longer competed for survival. They focused on growth, both individually and collectively. Chapter 5: The History He Was Told. During his time in the future, Dienach claimed he was taught the history of humanity between 1921 and 3906. What he described was both fascinating and unsettling. According to his account, the 21st century would face major global crises, wars, and instability would escalate, and a period of collapse would occur. But humanity wouldn't end. Instead, it would rebuild, slowly evolving into something entirely new, a new kind of human civilization. Chapter 6: Why He Was There. One question haunted Dienach: why him? Why had his consciousness traveled so far into the future? He was told something strange, that his presence was not intentional, accidental, a rare event, something like a consciousness displacement across time, and just as suddenly as it began, it would end. Chapter 7: The Return. After what felt like years in the future, Dienach woke up, back in his own body, back in 1922. Doctors were amazed. He had recovered from his coma. But Dienach was not the same man, because he remembered everything. Chapter 8: The Secret Diary. Dienach didn't publish his story. He feared ridicule. Instead, he wrote everything down in a personal diary, detailing his experience, the future world, and the history he was told. Years later, he gave these writings to one of his students. After his death, the diary would eventually be published, and that's how the world learned of his story. Chapter 9. Truth or Imagination? So what really happened? Was Dienach a man who experienced something beyond explanation? A dreamer whose mind created an elaborate vision, or something else entirely? There is no scientific evidence that his experience was real. But his story continues to intrigue people around the world, not because it's proven, but because of what it suggests. Paul Amadeus Dienach claimed he lived in the year 3906. Not in body, but in mind. Whether it was a dream, a vision, or something we don't yet understand, his story leaves us with a powerful question. What if the future isn't something we're heading toward, but something already waiting for us? This is Agent J.A., and this is Chronicles of the Explained and Unexplained. Thanks for watching. Comment, like, and subscribe for more content like this. Hope you enjoyed the video and stay safe out there, and don't forget to keep an open mind.